Yoga should be introduced in schools.
So could you suggest some asanas that we as students can practice?
I completely reversed my PCOS without medication.
Wow.
There have been times I have probably studied like 2 hours, but वो जो मैंने 3 question पढ़े थे वही आए exam में. Why does a tortoise live longer than a dog?
Hi guys, I'm Advika
And I'm Akshaj.
and we welcome you all to
Two
Sides of a Coin. Yay! Today, as you can obviously see if you're watching on YouTube, we're not in our studio. Where are we, Akshaj?
We are at our friend's house, Nitya.
Okay, who we're meeting today for the first time. But yeah, talk a little about yourself.
Okay, so I'm Nitya and it's lovely to be here and be here as in I'm at my place. But you guys have come here. But a little bit about myself. I was in the writing field for a long time. I wrote poetry and I've published a couple of anthologies. And then suddenly yoga found me. Yoga was very accidental. And now I'm a full-fledged yoga instructor and I've been teaching for the past 2 years. So yeah, this is me.
What do you mean by found you? Like, how did it happen?
So, like one of those unplanned things in life where you just feel that, you had nothing, like you don't even have this in your trajectory of your life. It was a complete switch for me. I weighed 95 kilos. I had a lot of health issues. And during COVID, that mentally also took a toll on me. And that is the time I started doing yoga online. From there to becoming a yoga instructor was completely accidental.
So you teach yoga. Do you do it online or do you have classes going on?
Right now it's completely online. I have clients all over, spread out. So you can also find my page on Instagram. I go by the name Niramaya Yoga. So check me out on Instagram.
Can you spell it?
Yes, it's NIRAMAYA __yoga. Niramaya Yoga. Niramaya means disease free.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, guys, please check the channel out and let us know as well. Would you explain basically what is yoga?
So yoga is a lot of things. But if I have to kind of start with understanding what does the word yoga itself mean. So yoga comes from the Sanskrit root word yuj, which means union. So that is why yoga can also be considered as a union of the mind, the body and the spirit. So it's actually body, mind and beyond.
Yeah. Because actually I had PE in class 12th and there I had yoga is unification of Atma with Paramatma.
The thing is that when you say Atma with Paramatma, rightly said, it's like the, the individual self with the higher self. Yoga is that which takes you through that journey of unraveling that higher self. And it's not something which is out there or it's something which is esoteric, or it is everything about how we deal with day-to-day situations.
Okay.
It starts off the mat, actually.
Do you know what the origin of yoga is? Like, how did it start? When? Where?
So the traces of yoga can go back to more than 5,000 years. Yoga was actually first found in one of the oldest Veda, which is the Rig Veda. Hamare 4 Ved hain. The oldest is Rig Veda and yoga was mentioned in that. Even in the Indus Valley civilization, there have been traces of yogi-like figures found on soapstone seals. So, and as per yogic folklore, Lord Shiva is also known as Adi Yogi, who is the first ever yogi. So Lord Shiva is considered as the first ever yogi to introduce yoga. And then he passed it on to his students, disciples and further on.
Do you think that yoga is somewhat connected to science? Like some people think science ek taraf hai, yoga ekdam se opposite hai, or are they connected?
I think yoga is one of the most incredible sciences to come across because yoga is, it is something where I'm my own testimonial in a way. It's because it starts with the body and then it starts working on your mind and then it helps you traverse what's beyond. And for me it's a science because there are certain asanas, there are certain pranayamas which have been researched upon. Even journals like National, like National Health magazine and all of these US-based journals have been publishing on how Brahmari pranayam, for example, helps in increasing nitric oxide, which actually improves your immunity. So during COVID, Brahmari pranayam was suggested.
Yeah, that's what my mother, she literally used to tell me do pranayam every day during COVID especially. Because, I mean, it wasn't, I don't think it was on the news. I don't know if it was, but she did know that it has a lot of effects on your immune system.
Yes, and you realize that when you start practicing it, and the science lies in the techniques. It's not just because the difference between gymming and yoga, I would say, is emphasis on breath, because the breath is like the bridge between the body and the mind. And if you just take an example, supposingly, easiest example I can give you is, why does a tortoise live longer than a dog? Because a tortoise
Breathes more.
breathes slower.
Slower,
It
okay.
breathes like 4 times in a minute. The breathing rate, and a dog would breathe like 20 to 30 times in a minute, and that is impacting the lifespan as well. So then you realize your breath is everything.
So, do you think a professional athlete would live less?
No, so here's a science to it again. Good question actually, because one of my friends had the same question. मुझसे पूछा था कि हम तो प्राणायाम करें, कपाल भाती में you're breathing in so fast.
Yeah.
But see, what happens is, in pranayams like Kapal Bhati, Bhastrika, it starts off with activating your sympathetic nervous system, which is your right nostril, which is your responsible for your fight and flight mode and everything. But after your body cools down after the practice, then your parasympathetic nervous system is activated. So it's in the cooling down where the activation and the and the reaping of the benefits of the practice happens. That is why, as a runner, it's not when you're running, it's the rest period. That is why Shavasana is so critical in after every yoga practice. People tend to skip Shavasana because they feel like it's not important. You're just lying like a corpse.
That's my favorite asana. That's
Mine
my
too.
favorite.
Yes, and it's a best feeling after you've done a wholesome
Yeah.
1 hour practice, and then you give yourself that 10 minutes of Shavasana. It's like therapeutic.
Can you like follow us through the process, like how to do a Shavasana properly?
Okay, so to start off with a few things. First thing is that you have to keep your feet wide apart, hands away from your body, palms facing the roof. No part of your body should be touched with so your body has to be well spread out on the mat, eyes closed. And there's a myth about Shavasana ki it's so easy. Letna hi to hai.
I think it's the
Yeah.
most difficult one, to be honest.
Oh,
It is the most difficult one because in Shavasana, you are left alone with your thoughts. And most of us, if you see with our fast paced lives, do not really know how to pause. And we do not really know how to switch off.
That's me.
कुछ ना कुछ चलता रहेगा. Even in Shavasana, I'm like, वो अचार का bottle आधा खुला छोड़ दिया. Or something like that, you know. Thoughts will just keep coming in your mind. So Shavasana is hard. It's not easy. But if you tire yourself enough, you might enjoy it.
When did you start seeing results? Like when you started yoga, how long did it take to you to feel, yeah, this is something which is actually bringing out something new in me or something better in me?
So first during COVID, I started those classes, and that was as a student. I was just attending them on a weekend, on weekends. Then after that, a couple of my friends were doing this teachers training course in Madnapalli, which is between the Andhra and Karnataka border. So my institute is there, Bharat Yoga Vidya Kendra, which is also started by, my guru Shri M, who started the yoga institute there. And, when my friends were going, I just wanted to do it for the heck of it, because I'm like, wo ja rahe hai, mujhe bhi karna hai. That was literally, I had no other reason that, oh, I want to, become an instructor. None of that was a part of the plan. But I was suffering from PCOS for the longest time. And those of people who do not know, it's a hormonal issue which leads to weight gain and facial hair and acne, and it can affect your thyroid, and 8 out of 10 women suffer from PCOS, and it's purely lifestyle based. You guys are in the medical field, so of course you know what PCOS is, but just for the audience. And so long story short, what happened was that I did this course. Now this course was like just a little more than a month. But for me, I think 6 months of self-practice. So I promised myself, सर्टिफिकेट मिलने से कोई टीचर नहीं बन जाता. यू हैव टू फर्स्ट अप्लाई दोज थिंग्स ऑन योर सेल्फ, अप्लाई बिफोर यू सप्लाई. दैट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सो 6 months of self practice, and I completely reversed my PCOS without medication.
Wow. Without
medication, my cysts had dissolved in the ultrasound. Yeah. So for me, that was like the greatest game changer. I'm like, okay, this is it. to the extent I decided to take it up professionally.
I think we've talked about the effects of yoga on the body, but what about the mind?
So it all starts with the mind. हमने योगा में सीखा है, there's a line, आधि व्याधि का कारण है. So आधि means mental disease and vyadhi means physical disease. So if you start understanding that, you really understand that it all originates in the mind. And more than 80% diseases are psychosomatic. So if you understand here, I come back to the breath. When I say breath is the bridge between the body and the mind. Smallest example, when you're mentally agitated or disturbed, you'll check your breathing will be shallow. Your breathing cannot be slow and regulated when you're irritated, when you're angry, someone has snapped at you or you've snapped at someone. So that makes you realize that your breath and your mind are interconnected. Now, when these two are connected, that instantly, because your emotions lead to chemical altercations, which lead to hormonal secretions like cortisol and adrenaline, which leads to diseases in the body. So it's absolutely interconnected.
What about the effect of yoga in a student life? For example, I love to do yoga, but not like I haven't taken it that professionally. But I've tried gym, I've tried a lot of things, but yoga is just something I feel it's because it gives me that pause that I need. Like even when I'm in the gym, it's not the same as when I'm doing yoga because it feels relaxing, it feels key. It just feels different. I don't know why. But yeah, so do you think every student should do this? And if yes, then why? What are the benefits of it?
Absolutely. So you just used a word called the pause. So that is what yoga does. And that is a difference between any other workout like Pilates or gymming. Because, the thing is, I personally would suggest that yoga should be introduced in schools at a very young age, because the very moment a child learns how to observe their breath, just the simple technique of observing your own breath instantly takes you inwards. And that one thing makes you realize that it instantly takes you from the outside to the inside. So I think for students, it's very important, especially when you're in college or even like you have your boards and everything, 10th May, 12th May. It's really a life skill to have, like a tool to have, because it helps you with your stress levels, it helps you with anxiety. Pranayam and yoga, they go hand in hand, like asana practice and pranayam. Because if you just look at the word prana yama, pran and ayam, which means regulating the breath.
Pran means breath.
Pran means life energy and ayam means to regulate or to control.
Okay.
So that literally means the ability to control your life energy. If you can master your breath, you can master your life. So as a student, if you can learn to master your breath, then your responses, your reactions, how you deal with stressful situations, how you deal with pain, how you deal with agitation, how you deal with challenges that come, towards you in that phase of your life, it'll definitely help you throughout your life. In every yoga is something which will be helpful for you in every phase of your life. It'll be like your friend as an adolescent, in your marriage, and beyond, and as you age, it's there. It's inclusive as a science for every person.
Also, could you suggest some asanas that we as students can
Yeah, like
practice?
things we can do every day.
Yeah.
Like, because as much as we all want to give 1 hour to work out, it's not,
Yeah.
it takes time. वहाँ तक पहुँचने. We obviously start with 5 minutes or 10 minutes and then you reach to 1 hour. Something simple that we all can do which does not feel like work.
Okay, so usually what I even tell my clients who are in that age group between 20 and 30, because they are like, some of them are working, some of them are studying. So what I usually tell them is that if you have 10 minutes and if that's all you've got, first thing is, our spine is something which is so compromised. You're on your desk jobs, you're sitting, your posture. Exactly. Keep reminding ourselves. Reminding myself as well. Instantly, हमारा हो जाता है, So, spine is one thing which is very important. And the second is your lower body, because hours of sitting. That's why they say sitting is a new smoking. So, there are certain asanas, like, for example, Bhujangasana. Why the cobra pose? One is because it's working on your spine. It leads to extension of the spine. So, it's very good. The holding of the asana is where the therapy lies. You hold, the longer you hold a stretch. So why I'm telling you this is, a lot of people feel that doing many asanas will lead to more benefits. That is a myth. The longer you hold, even you do 5 asanas, but you do it for 2 minutes each, that will lead to more benefit than doing 10 asanas for 10 seconds each.
I won't take the name, but there's one guru, we can say, who there's like this thing he has the record of doing most Surya Namaskars in a limited amount of span. So is that good or is that not?
So Surya, I was going to suggest Surya Namaskar after this. So Surya Namaskar is one of the best full body workouts you can do. Now the beauty of Surya Namaskar is it can be used as a workout and it can be used as a full body stretch. The duration of which you hold can completely change the impact and the effect it has on your body. Now Surya Namaskar is amazing because it works on your belly fat. It works on opening up your hips. When you do the forward bends, it works on your spine. Bhujangasana, I suggested the other is Baddha Konasana. Like we can sit in Baddha Konasana as we are sitting, the butterfly.
Okay, the butterfly.
Right? Why? Even for pregnant women in their first trimester, this pose is suggested because it's a hip opener. It also expands your abdominal muscles and opens it up. And when you're giving birth, these muscles need to be nicely opened. So even if you do the butterfly flapping for like 1 minute, you will never have issues with your hips and your hamstrings. It'll always, and this is a pose which prepares you later on for longer durations because you need poses like this. And the other is Vajrasan, one of the best things for digestion.
What's the Vajrasan?
Vajrasan is placing your hips on your heels. So like this, I'll show you.
Acha, okay,
Like
okay, got it. This
This
helps in digestion.
digestion.
Yeah.
This is the only pose that you can do after your meals.
Okay.
Okay.
So these are poses I'm telling you, they might not seem complicated, but these are poses which will be helpful for you in different phases of your life. Bhujangasana also has an amazing effect because any asana that extends your throat helps your thyroid. So it's very good for your thyroid. It presses your pelvic region, so it's very good for your hormones, your pelvic organs. It is very good for your spine. So it's overall working. So over asanas which work on multiple aspects of your body at the same time. And also help you sit for longer periods of time so that you can prepare your body for meditation.
Okay, let's have a little chat about meditation. So, do you also meditate?
Yes, I do meditate. And I feel that like I used to sit with my thoughts before I started yoga. But I realized that sitting with your thoughts and meditating are two different things.
Sitting with your thoughts and meditating. What's like if you're doing yoga, isn't that supposed to give you peace and like, basically make you feel better, not think about all of the things which you're thinking about anyways, about work or about anything else. So if you feel that way while you're doing yoga, then why would someone need to meditate? What's the difference?
So the difference is, first of all, in yoga, you're focused more on that stretch. So your focus goes on the stretch and your priority becomes focusing on the body. That's why you won't go much beyond the body at that time unless you are so focused. And usually people's eyes are open when they're doing an asana. Otherwise, you might fall or something if you do it with your eyes closed. In meditation, you're supposed to close your eyes. So the first step is you're instantly going inside. Second thing is, you can also say that meditation is one kind of a yoga because yoga means union. Meditation is one kind of a union with yourself. So first with asana, you have to cure the physical ailment. Then with pranayam and a combination of asana, you will, it will start working on your mind subtly. So that is how it leads to dhyan.
You
Right,
tell us
yeah.
like how should we start meditating as students? Like if someone is watching the video, what would you tell him how to start meditation?
To start with, if you're a complete beginner, is sit with your breath. What happens is the moment you take your awareness to your breathing, you will realize that your thoughts are not, there, and the fluctuations will start reducing. So even Sage Patanjali says yoga is yogas chitta vritti nirodha, which means yoga is the controlling of the mental fluctuations of the mind. And that fluctuations, so our mind is like हमारा जो मन है, it's like a ripple free lake, and the thoughts are the ripples. So if you want to see your reflection clearly, you need to slow down your thoughts, and the best way to do that is go and check your breath. Sometimes, of course, because I don't want this to be make it religious, some people chant because chanting also helps. Whatever you want to chant, doesn't matter which sect or religion you belong to, irrespective of that. But even chanting does the same thing, because when when you're chanting that mantra, then you're not focusing on other things. So it's basically that. But breathing में क्या होता है, then you start realizing that even your breath is slowing down as you're focusing on your breath.
How long, like, when we're starting, how long should we sit pehli bar?
Start with 5 minutes. That's more than enough.
That's, yeah. 5 minutes also seems a lot just to not think.
Exactly. 5 minutes is a lot, because what happens is when I started meditation, even now it still happens. Look, first thing as a yoga instructor is I have not arrived in life. Okay? Like, just because, and this is something which a lot of people tend to assume, oh, you're a yoga instructor, you should not get affected by these things. I'm like, I'm human too. Like, I do get affected by things and I'm emotional. But the only difference is that I'm also very aware of what triggers me, what doesn't trigger me, and it makes you more accountable as a person. It basically rubs that muck off your mirror of all the images you've built about yourself. That's what yoga does. It basically shows you the mirror so clearly that sometimes you might not be able to confront your own self, because you have to face your inner demons.
Do you believe in karma? Yeah, karma has a role in all of this, what is happening around us.
Yes, I do. I do believe in karma. I do believe in cause and effect. I believe that even in Bhagavad Gita, which is a text we refer to a lot, even for yoga. In fact, Bhagavad Gita, mein every chapter is called a yoga. It starts with Arjuna Vishada Yoga, Sannyasa Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga. So every chapter is called a yoga. So in that also it says when the soul leaves the body, it carries the seed of its karma, which is all its actions, and which is like the fragrance, which is like the fragrance of flowers in the air, which means you can't see it, but you know it's there. In Vedanta philosophy also, which is a non-dualistic, school of thought, there are three kinds of karma, which is one is agam karma, which is the karma we're doing at the present. One is sanchit karma, which is karma which has been performed but whose fruits we haven't reaped yet. Result abhi tak aaya nahi hai. And then the last is prarabdh karma. Now this is where the cause and effect comes. Prarabdh is actions performed in the past whose results you're reaping now in terms of pain or pleasure. So karma basically, karma means action. So that is why whatever you're doing now will lead to a certain outcome in the future. So I believe that बहुत स्टोरी सुनी है बचपन में कि एक चोर को one thief found a wallet filled with money, and a very honest guy, he got a thorn on his foot. And then he's like, because that guy only found a wallet filled with cash, because in the past life he was a really good man, but now because he's a thief he only found a wallet filled with cash. And the guy was only hurt by a thorn because he was a really bad guy in the past life, but it was only a thorn that hurt him because he's a very imandar person in this life. So of course when murders happen, when bad things happen, it makes you question, when justice is not given. But then I think I personally feel that we only face what we have given to the world. Like the world is like your mirror, and we are only reflecting and projecting what's inside us. So because I've seen that change when I change my perspective, and that's what yoga does. Yoga, there's a very famous quote that yoga doesn't change the way you see, it changes the person who sees it. And that's what even karma is. So just because pehle ke karm theek nahi the, that doesn't mean what you do now is what is going to determine.
So इसी से related, what if, like, do you think कि हमारी destiny already लिखी हुई है according to the karmas, या फिर is it that we make our own destiny?
So 50-50. Like, again, I might be wrong here because I cannot comment on something that is way beyond my own realm and of understanding. But I personally, मेरा ये मानना है that some things are written, like why is it that sometimes you've not studied anything for an exam and you've
Akshaj, why is that?
That's not true.
and literally like there have been times I have probably studied like 2 hours but वो जो मैंने 3 question पढ़े थे वही आए exam में, right? And then so that makes you wonder sometimes, and I'm giving these sort of examples that people can relate. Okay, so so I feel it's partly destiny and it's partly you make it happen. I think life gives you choices. You're led to crossroads in your life where you make a decision, and then based on that decision then your destiny takes you somewhere. But then the question is here that if everything is destiny, so are the crossroads, right? कि सब लिखा है तो ये भी लिखा है. So does that mean you stop trying?
No, I would never.
So this question was there, and again Bhagavad Gita kind of helped me, really gave a very good answer for that. So it says that your authority lies in performing the action but not in the result of the action, which means that don't stop acting because you have no control over the result of the action. You're meant to do your action anyway, but what happens as a result of that is not in your hands.
Could you tell us a takeaway message from all this, an hour of conversation for the viewers that you would really like them to know?
I think first is that focus on your breath whenever things get too overwhelming, because that's one thing which is right there within you, and you don't need any therapist or any person outside of you to calm you down. Your breath is like your superpower.
Okay, so we're going to be playing the
Rapid
most
fire.
interesting segment, which is
Rapid fire.
yeah.
We're going to ask Nitya unscripted questions that even we don't know on the spot, and we'll see how it goes.
No amount of preparation will ever be enough.
Okay, what's your favorite asana?
Shavasana.
Do you prefer asana or meditation?
Asana.
What's your favorite memory out of this whole yoga journey?
My favorite memory would be, I think, taking my first group session. Like just being on the other side of the stage after
Ooh.
a student, and then suddenly, you're like on your mats. And I'm like, I just said that.
Interesting.
Okay, do you prefer sunrises or sunsets?
Sunsets, because I'm not a morning person.
If you could say one thing to your younger self, what would you say to her?
I would say that never try to be like somebody else to be accepted. Like just be yourself, and it's somebody else's decision if they want to like you, but don't try to win someone's approval when it comes to anything, from your appearance to how you are to your career decisions, any of those things.
Any skill or hobby you haven't learned yet but want to learn it as soon as possible?
Yeah, I want to play the electric guitar.
Ooh, Akshay should
interesting.
teach you that.
Really?
He knows every instrument.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
Except
that's
the
literally the
saxophone.
coolest thing.
I'm more interested in the saxophone.
If not a yoga instructor, what other career do you think you could have chosen?
I think teaching, like I really enjoy teaching in general. Like, I was also tutoring children before I was teaching English and Spanish.
Linguist.
So-
Espanol.
Espanol. Yeah, so I used to tutor kids, so I really enjoyed that.
What do you prefer, indoor yoga or outdoor yoga?
Well, in Delhi, indoor yoga.
Oh, makes so much sense. But
Yeah.
वैसे
वैसे outdoor yoga. Like, the greenery and the serenity, but यहाँ पे it's like pollution and AQI above 500. Can't say outdoor yoga.
yeah, what do you prefer? Fast-paced yoga या फिर slow-paced yoga?
I like it slow paced mostly, but on days when I'm just mentally feeling agitated, I need to channel that energy in some way and expend it. I go into the fast paced.
Okay, so the last question, what is one motto that you live by?
One motto that I live by. I think, like, of course, sometimes it's challenging, but I think practice the pause before anything. Like before you react, before you say something, before you blurt out something, just think, run a filter, and be mindful, because words are very powerful. So I think that's one thing, but I still need to improve. I falter, but yes, that's one thing which.
That was so amazing. And with that, we come to
To
the
end of this episode.
How do you feel after having this conversation?
I think I feel enlightened. At least a little bit.
Oh,
yeah.
feel what?
Enlightened.
Same. I feel like I was just asking questions which I've been waiting to ask from so long, but I just never met someone I could ask.
Yeah, I think I'll definitely use the pause thing now.
Yeah, I mean, that was something I needed to hear today.
One thing I want to say is that I don't know if I answered a lot of your questions, but I just want to give you some food for thought, because everything doesn't need to have a linear, rational, one line, like one word response. It's not subjective. It is open to interpretation, and sometimes you need to figure it out for yourself. So I just want to leave that avenue open for you to figure it out. I won't be like ye hai.
Sahi baat hai.
It's like that.
Okay, guys, so that was it.
It-
Thank you so much,
Thank you
Nitya.
so much for having me.
Oh yeah, thank you so much for watching. You can tune in our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and all major streaming
Yeah,
platforms.
and you can follow us on our Instagram, which goes by the name of 2 sides of a coin _ podcast.
And make sure you like, share, subscribe.
Cheers.